So, welcome everyone. My name is Andrea Hyland. I'm the founder of the Incubator, an online co-working space for women creatives. And I am a member of On Purpose Woman Global Community since 2007. I'm going to put the year in there. And I'm in the role of host today for Jenny Robertson. So, welcome to today's Connections Over Coffee gathering with the On Purpose Woman Global Community. I am so glad that you're here and that you are watching this recording on our YouTube channel. So while you're there, look at some of the other speakers too. There's lots of great things, and I'd love to have you share the recording of our inspiring and insightful speaker today, along with others. And our speaker is Kathryn Yarborough. Hi, Kathryn. And her topic is how to craft a client attracting presentation. So I'm going to just tell you a couple of things about her talk and her bio, and then I'm going to hop off and have the spotlight totally on Kathryn. So when you have a client attracting presentation that you know delivers and your ideal clients are in the audience, you can speak with confidence, knowing they'll be inspired to take the next step with you. So in this presentation with Kathryn Yarborough, you'll get started crafting a client attracting signature talk using her special formula. Whether you're speaking for 5 minutes or 25 minutes, the elements of her formula work. And I know because I've heard Kathryn talk about it, and it's great. So I'm really glad that you're here, Kathryn. And for anyone who has never met Kathryn, she's the founder of Speakers with Heart. She inspires women entrepreneurs to be the fullest expression of themselves so that so that their ideal clients can find them. She hosts summits and provides training on how to use speaking to attract clients. And when not working, Kathryn loves watching movies, going for walks, and dreaming up new possibilities for her business. Yes, she does. Okay, she has a website, speakerswithheart.com. She has a Facebook group. Those links are in the show page description. So take it away, Kathryn.
My friends, have you ever heard a speaker who did such a good job that when they told you about how you could work with them, that you signed up either that day or later? Have you ever given somebody money who spoke? Raise your hand. Okay, I'm seeing some hands. Everybody's hand is raising, and I know I've done it. In fact, the people who I've given the most money to, I actually saw them speak, except for one woman years ago. She was a referral. So we attract clients through networking, we attract clients through word of mouth, we attract clients through speaking. And so what if you could be a speaker who does such a good job that you too attract some of the people, those who are your ideal clients, to take a next step and become a client of yours who buys what you're offering? Would you like to be able to do that? Raise your hand if you want to be able to do that. Okay. That was some raised hands here if you're not here with us live. And if you are watching the replay, feel free to raise your hands or nod your head whenever I ask as well. Now, there are 4 pillars that I believe all of us women solopreneurs need to develop in order to be a client attracting speaker. And when I was preparing this presentation and practicing naming those 4 pillars, I realized that I was having to think. Like, a couple of them would come up really quickly, and then I'd be like, what were the other 2? And I know this stuff like the back of my hand almost, but I wasn't remembering them. So I thought, well, I wonder if I could make an acronym out of the first letters of these pillars to help me remember. So I wrote down V for visible, AM for authentically magnetic, P for plan, and then P again for presentation. The plan is the client attracting speaker plan, and the presentation is a client attracting presentation like what we're talking about today. And I saw the word vamp, and I thought, well, let me add a Y to it, vampy. Granted, vamp only has one P for those of you who did really well in those spelling bees, but I'm adding two P's in here just for the fun. And I thought, well, let me pull out my phone and see what my phone says the definition of vampy is, because I can have this, it's not really a great thing to talk about, but I pulled it out, and what it said about vampy is that someone who's vampy is alluring, magnetic, and enticing. And I'm like, this could totally work. What if we could be vampy in the best sense of the word? And now, the negative side of the definition of being vampy is manipulative. Now, I am not about us being manipulative salespeople. That feels slimy and icky to me. So we're not going to talk about how to do that, because I don't even know how to do that. Because as Evie said earlier, I'm one of these authentic people. And the reason why I come across that is because I'm just real and I'm not trying to twist anybody up. I just share my truth. So as I pulled out the phone, I read the definition. And the other thing they did is they described that a vampy woman is one who like is sexy looking. It has to do with a picture of a woman who's showing her breasts, who's got the lipstick on and does this vampy eyeliner stuff. And she just looks like a seductress. And I thought about this woman that I know from Facebook. She actually pops into my head in the word vamping. I can see her picture because practically every picture of her, she's got her breasts showing. I mean, the cleavage is right there. It's all out there. She's wearing the sexy clothes. She's got her makeup on to die. I mean, she looks like Miss, I'm going to say sex pot, which must be what she wants. And it probably is how she feels good, which is great. But I thought to myself, I don't think I've ever looked like that or felt like that. And I started to imagine, because I was going down this rabbit hole of vampy for my acronym for the four pillars of being a client attracting speaker. And I thought to myself, what would it be like to dress like that, to put makeup on, to doll myself up in that way so that when I walked around in the world, men would go, whoo, right? I mean, that's what happens. When a woman who does that, the men are experiencing that alluring, magnetic, enticing experience. Whoo! And it's like bees to a honey. And no, honey to bees, right? Honey, like bees just go, so honey, or whatever it is, the bees just go to the stuff. The pollen is really what they want. And I know this because I have a son. Like, I don't know what it is about men. There's just something in them. And I thought, what would it be like to be like that? And in realizing that I have never, ever felt that way. And if you have, bravo, good for you for doing it and having those experiences. But that's not what I've experienced. And I thought, well, okay, it's not like I want y'all to go around showing your breasts and putting makeup on. And I started to think, what would it be like to walk into a room, whether it's a physical room with a bunch of peers, colleagues, potential clients, maybe a networking event, maybe a conference, or onto a Zoom call, and walk with that feeling that I'm imagining I would have felt if I had ever been that way. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with being sexy and walking into a room and having men look at you and dressing like that. If that's what makes you, if that has you feel good, go for it. It's just, I've never taken it on. And I'm thinking maybe it might be fun to do at some point. But if we turn it into what would it be like to feel confident that people are going to see you, that your potential clients would experience you as alluring, magnetic, and enticing? That's really the question here. Maybe it does mean that you dress a certain way. Maybe it means that you speak a certain way, and I'm going to suggest that that way is authentically magnetic. I invite you to imagine getting onto a Zoom call, going into a room where your potential clients are, or any other situation on social media, and knowing that you are alluring, magnetic, and enticing to your ideal clients. What changes for you? Now, I'm going to say that it means that you are being so you, sharing your wisdom, your expertise, and sharing your unique vibration. That's right, the energy of you. It is coming through you so much that your people feel you, like the bees and the honey and the pollen and all that kind of stuff. They just feel it, sense it, and they just go, psh. What would it be like if when you spoke, you're now already in the room when you speak on Zoom, on Facebook Live, on in person, wherever you are, if you were being that way, vampy, really alluring, magnetic, and enticing to your ideal clients, being so you that they take the next step that you suggest. In my case, today, I'm going to tell you about my client attracting speaker course. And the next step is to check it out and schedule a consult with me. What would it be like for me to imagine that some of you, if you're in the right space and you're ready for it, that you do that? Does that sound good? I mean, I'm not talking about mine, but for you, does that sound good? Is that what you want to have happen when you speak and you share that next step? Your people who are attracted to you because you are you, take that next step. All right, so to do that, we need to develop 4 skills. We need to be visible, which means we've got to show up, as we were talking about earlier, for on purpose. You can show up and do 5 minutes or 3 minutes regularly in these meetings, as well as in some cases be the featured speaker like I am today, or show up in other meetings, to show up, find speaking opportunities, show up on social media. You need to be visible. You get to be authentically magnetic. Now, at the core of my client attracting speaker course is my Speak with Your Body process. This Speak with Your Body process uses movement and words that I have come to think of as expressive speak to break people free from their conditioned practices of speaking, of their conditioned habits of communication, that open them up to let their unique vibration come out. The process feels a little weird the first couple times you do it, but once you learn how to do it and you allow your brain to shift, it is transformative at 3 levels. It helps you open up to a fuller expression and dynamism. It helps you to recognize your speaking habits so you can break free from them, whether they're hesitancy or lack of confidence or being in your head or even being invisible. So you can choose to be other than that, however you want to be. And the last transformation, which is super powerful, is it aligns you with your higher self so that your words, your thoughts, your actions, your voice is in alignment with this great one that we're all part of, because your higher self is always tuned into that and you are letting that out if that matters to you. And whether you may not ever need to speak about it, but through that vibration that is your essential vibration, that's how you truly touch your people so they fly to you. So authentically magnetic. The third element or pillar of becoming a client attracting speaker is to design a plan. You need to know what that next step is. You need to connect your speaking wherever you're speaking. If you're speaking at a summit, if you're speaking at a conference, if you're speaking on your own presentation, like your own workshop or master class, you may have a different ask, a different next step. And so to know what that is, that's part of your client attracting speaker plan. So we work on that in the course. And then the fourth element, which is what we're going to work on today, is your presentation. I'm going to share with you today how to craft a client attracting presentation. Now, before I do that, let me just say the why is about being you. Now, have we covered be you? We covered it. You need to be you. You're selling you for the most part, so you got to be you. Okay. All right. Now, oh, look at this. I made this for you. VAMMPY for to help you remember. Visible, authentically magnetic, have a plan, presentation, and then be you. Look at that. I thought I was going to share it earlier. But here we go. Now, before we go over the formula, I want to talk about the biggest mistake speakers can make when it comes to crafting a presentation. And I have made it so many times. Now, would you all like to hear what it is? Mm-hmm. I'm getting some nods. Okay, thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. All right. So if you've made this mistake before, you're not alone. I'm in there with you. And the mistake is to prepare a presentation based on information that you want to share. Okay. I'm telling you, that is the biggest mistake I have ever made. Because what we need to do is to start with what is the next step you want the people in the room to take? If you are being a client attracting speaker, start with what is the next step you want the people in the room to take, and then ask yourself, what do they need to hear or experience in order to want to take that next step? And if you start with that, then the chances are that if there are potential ideal clients in the room who are ready for your service, because not everybody's ready. So, which is why it's always a good idea to invite people to sign up for something for free. Like, for example, my Speakers with Heart community. You can go to speakerswithheart.com, and I'm sorry, I don't have the website right there, but if you go to speakerswithheart.com, you can sign up for my free community. I offer twice a month free masterminds, and I also offer periodic free master classes, and you'll hear all about speaking opportunities. So if you're not already on my email list, go to speakerswithheart.com and sign up for it so we can stay connected. And so when you do that, folks, those of you who are here listening or watching the replay, when you have a free thing like that for people to do, if they're not ready and your next step is a paid thing, you will have captured their email. And if you then also part of your plan is regularly sending emails to them, then it's very likely that at some point, some of them will decide to start working with you and hand over their money and also hand over their time, if you will, and give you the honor, pleasure, and privilege of providing whatever is the service is that you provide for them. Okay. So, my friends, I'm just reading my notes here. What happens when we start with the information versus that next step and what do they need to hear? we often forget to interact with the people in the room. And then sometimes, often what happens, if people think about it, they'll add a call to action at the end. And sometimes that call to action feels like they've just plugged in something. They haven't even mentioned it. Like I've mentioned my client attracting speaker course a few times. I'm going to tell you about how you can find out about it. And if you want to have a conversation with me, how you can schedule a conversation with me. So I've said this a few times. You are not going to be surprised. In fact, you may be like, wow, I'm really curious. I want to go check it out. If you aren't enticing people along the way, it's going to feel slimy and smarmy and pushy and icky. And I've done it before. If you've ever done it, don't feel bad. We all need to learn. So, are you ready to hear about the client attracting presentation formula? All right. Let me share my screen with you. Share. Here we go. All right, so let me just summarize it real quick and then I'll go through a couple of the pieces of it. We need an opening that entices people. We need a transition where we talk about the challenges. We need a transition where we talk about ourselves. I just skipped this transition. Just so you know, if you're tracking what I do here, I didn't do that one. The body is where we tell people whatever it is that they need to hear, to learn, to do, to know in order to overcome the challenge and have the outcome that they want, and where we're seeding our offer even more. And then the call to action is when we're letting people know about what that next step is, and then the closing. So I think the opening is so important. And a lot of people waste a lot of time in the beginning. Please stop wasting time in the beginning. Please jump in right away in your presentations with something that's going to call people into it, especially your ideal clients. And speak about what it is they want if your desire is for it to be a client attracting presentation. Now, that being said, it is possible to do other types of client attracting presentations other than this that I'm describing to you. So take this formula and use it if it's helpful for you. Try it sometime if you want to. You can use this formula for a 3-minute thing, presentation, for a 3-minute on purpose featured member, a 5-minute, 30-minute presentation, a 3-hour workshop, a 3-day event. This is what you do. You got to pull people in. And if it's longer, throughout the presentation, you're going to remind them about what they want, right? You want to be enticing, alluring, magnetic. You want to have a client attracting presentation that leads people to a next step so that you can actually grow your business with confidence, that you can share your presentation or presentations, you might have a few, regularly, and that as a result, people are going to take a next step, right? Wouldn't that be cool if you had that kind of structure for your business? Okay, so opening and then reminding people about that thing that they want throughout the transition. So they want this. You want to be a client attracting speaker, but maybe you don't know how to craft a presentation yet. You've been doing I'm doing the example here today, but you've been doing presentations based on the idea that you want to share versus what is the next step for your people. Now, why should they listen to you? That needs to be somewhere. It was a bit in my introduction today from Andrea and also from Evie stuff. So, but at some point, it's really helpful to let people know something about you that helps them see you as an expert. And even example stories, all kinds of things like that will help people see you as the expert and why they should listen to you. All right, the body is where you might say, here are the 5 steps. I shared 4 pillars. I kind of combined things because that was sort of my opening part and also part of the body. And the body is very short in this if I just look at where I'm talking about the client attracting presentation formula. So I kind of, you play with this stuff. You got to share something that makes them go, oh, okay, that makes sense. And if you can include stories in there, it's going to land better. I did the whole story about being vampy, the vampy thing in my journey, because people actually hear and listen better with stories. It's amazing how powerful they are. Okay. Then that call to action, the next step. So I'm gonna share with you in just a minute what that is, but in that there's art to that, but it's all about, would you like to become that client attracting speaker? Would you like to have more peace in your life, or would you like to get better at sales, whatever the thing is? And then the wrap up, reminding people about the benefits. So if you do become a client attracting speaker, then you're going to get to serve more people. You're going to have a consistent flow of wonderful clients who you love to work with. And as a result, the world is going to be a better place. And you're likely going to be happier, right? Yes. Okay. Andrea liked that. She clapped for that. All right, my friends. So let's take a couple of minutes. I promised that you would get started. And what I want you to do is use these two questions to get started. And I invite you to think about someplace you could do a presentation. If you already have one in mind that you're going to do in the next month, great. And if not, think about a Facebook Live. Or if you're a member of On Purpose, think about a 5-minute featured member spot. So first question, what is the next step you want the people in the room or who are listening to you to take? And that next step has to do with working with you. It might be a consult. It might be buy your low cost offer. I'll be quiet for 10 seconds while you're thinking about what it is. And then what do they need to hear or experience in order for them to want to take that next step? So just jot down a few things. What do they need to hear or experience in order to want to take that next step? Okay, so I'm going to give a few examples from here so that keeps landing here. So what I thought about as I was answering these questions in this and exploring this was maybe what you need to hear in order to be interested in my client attracting speaker course, which is what I want you to do. I want you to go check it out. I'm going to give you the link in a minute. And then if you're interested, to schedule a consult with me, a complimentary consultation. I think you need to hear about the 4 pillars of becoming a client attracting speaker, because that's what the course is based on. We're going to work on all 4 pillars. So I think you would need to know about that. Hence, that was in this presentation. I think you would actually have to hear about the client attracting speaker course and know that the consultation is the next step in order for you to be wanting to do that. Now, that may sound really dumb to say that. Like, of course they need to hear about it, but I'm just saying they need to hear about it. And maybe they need to hear about it a few times. Hence, it's always a good idea to seed things in your presentation. Because if we just throw it at people at the very end, they're like, oh, well, that sounds interesting. And we all know we need to hear things anywhere between 3, 7, 17, 27, 50 or more times before we take a next step, right? Okay. A couple other things, like maybe they need to hear a story about one of the people who's currently in the class. There's 8 class meetings that's part of the course and 3 private sessions. And one of the people, we're just still in the middle of it. She completed 3 of them. And she said to me that because of this process, she showed up differently on client calls, potential client calls. She felt herself show up with confidence that was new for her. So I'm like, all right, so those kinds of stories need to be in here. And then I thought, well, I could also, they need to hear something that demonstrates me as an expert. I can share the client attracting presentation formula and show its effectiveness, right? So those are just examples for me that I came up with. Now, if you are interested, if you go to, I'm going to put the link in the chat. I've got to, of course, find the chat. And for folks who are watching this as a replay, go to speakerswithheart.com, and you'll see speaker course on the page as part of the one of the things. But there's the link right there. And when you go to the page, you'll see what it's about. You'll see the cost. You'll see the dates. When I'm offering it next, and you'll see a button to schedule a consult with me. You can't just buy the course. We have to have a conversation. I want to make sure this is a good fit for you. I don't want you to just sign up for it because, ooh, Kathryn is so magnetic and enticing and alluring that you want to work with me. No, I want us to have a conversation because some people might need my 28 days to more clients program first to help you get clearer about what you're doing with your services and your business. And some people may need to work with somebody else. And I'm fine with letting you know that because I do practice being authentic and in integrity. So, my friends, how are you feeling? Do you feel like you know better how to be a client attracting speaker and design a presentation? We're getting some yeses. Okay, very, very good. If you have any questions, if you're here with us live, I'll be stopping in just a second. I'll answer any questions you have. If you're watching the replay, go to speakerswithheart.com and you'll find a button somewhere to send me a message and ask any questions.
Woohoo! Let's take a moment to show some love to our speaker. Let's hear it for Kathryn. You can unmute yourself. Woo! Woohoo!
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just jumping in there because I wanted to make sure that we were
Awesome.
some love before you went anywhere else. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and enthusiasm and heart with us today, Kathryn. Thank you. And to everyone who's listening to this replay, thank you for being part of this vibrant, supportive, and purpose-filled community. Thank you to everyone who was able to come live today to hear the call and support Kathryn. It's always great as a speaker to have support, some live support. And just to let everyone know, if you'd like to learn more about how to get involved in our Zoom or in-person gatherings or explore On Purpose Woman magazine, just head over to opwgc.com, and that is also in the show page description. We'd love to connect with you again soon. And until next time, stay inspired, stay authentic, and stay connected. Thank you, Kathryn. Thanks to everyone.